So the other day I bought a 3D printer, and as its first project I wanted to try and print a watercolor palette. So I went to Thingiverse and I typed in watercolor palettes, and I ended up stumbling across two different palettes that I thought were cool. The first one was by the user Hillman111, and this one is by the user Robert.I. I then brought them into my slicer, changed some of the orientations, and they were ready to print. Alongside them is another project I'm working on, but that's still in the works. So I think overall, the print might have taken about an hour in total, and that's even including the extra pieces. So after they were both done printing, they were still in need of some cleanup, so I took them over to my desk and I sanded them, removed the supports, and for this one, I actually painted it. And so unfortunately, this palette that you're seeing right here didn't come with any sort of support for the hinge, so I had to go into my container of random objects and try to find something and make it work. And eventually, I did stumble across this paperclip, which I ended up using for the support on the hinge of this palette. And now, all that was left to do was to fill the palettes up with paint and take them out for a plein air demo. Okay, so because this video is mostly about the palettes, you're not going to end up seeing the entire painting process, but I'm sure you guys can understand. Let's start off with the square palette by Robert.I. So when fully folded out, this palette has a square form factor, and it has space for 4 watercolor half pans, but unfortunately this palette did not actually fit half pans, so when I tried to put them in, they seemed to be a little too large for the palette, so I just went in and, as you guys saw, poured the paint in without any kind of half pans. The next thing that might cause some issues for people is that there's no place to mix anywhere. As you see in some of these clips, I just kind of have to go straight from the palette and I have to mix in the colors themselves, which is not ideal because you can't see what color you're ending up with, but you can definitely find ways to work around it. But there were a lot of things that I really did like about this palette. For one, I really liked the sort of hook that it had on the edge of it. It allowed me to attach it like right to my sketchbook so that it wasn't going to move around, wasn't going to slide, and most importantly, I didn't have to hold it in my hand while I painted. Next, I thought the palette was very space efficient. I think 4 colors is plenty enough to plein air paint. And I think that the way they're organized, just in this square position, is very compact. And lastly, the hinge was very nice. I was kind of surprised that the hinge worked as well, because it 3D prints in one solid piece. So you might think there would be some issues with it, but no, it actually works fine. And I don't know if this is how they designed it, but it actually clicks into place. At least at the end of the opening. So it kind of clicks flat, and then you can close it. Now onto the palette by Hillman 111. I really enjoyed painting with this one. I think it's very compact. I think that the fact that it has only 3 spots for half pans is great, because 3 is honestly enough. Sometimes I use black, but other than that, you can really get away with red, yellow, and blue. The only thing is that you still have to hold it, and that's because it doesn't come with any kind of clip to attach to your palette. And I think if it had that clip, it would be 5 out of 5. It would be perfect. Also, I do like that it has some sort of mixing area, even though it's not much. I think that having something there is better than nothing. So I think this is also a good palette. And so here's the final painting. I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out. I'm typically not very confident when I'm painting with just watercolor, but I think this one turned out actually pretty cool. And I really appreciate you guys watching, especially if you stuck around to the end. Thank you, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next video.